Yeah.
All right. Might as well. We're streaming this thing multiple places. I might as well. I'm going to record it to the cloud as well. This thing's going everywhere.
Viral.
Hey, everybody. Yeah, that's the idea. We're going to see. And I would say thanks to everybody for tuning in live. We've got some folks joining us on the Zoom right now. I'm seeing our YouTube feed looks live to me. So we've got folks in multiple places. I want to say hi to everybody on Zoom, hi to everybody on YouTube, hi to everybody in our Facebook mastermind for our clients. It's so great to have everybody with us. But at the risk of sounding like I've got favorites, I want to say it's the greatest to have today Damian Hall with us today. So we're gonna get into chat about some really cool things. Damien has been ever since he got on my radar a little over a year ago as part of the Curaytor community, as a phenomenal agent and broker in the Greenville, South Carolina area. I was just so impressed, not just by the work that I was seeing him do, but the spirit of contribution and the willingness to share and mix things up inside of our community. And so he's become just a phenomenal resource for his fellow Curaytor clients and for other agents around not just his market, but around the country in general. But I'm so excited to get to bring you on here to talk with and for our audience today about. I know we've talked about AI a lot in some of the marketing, and that's going to be kind of the focus of it because you've invested so much of your time and brain power into that. But just a phenomenal marketer and storyteller. And so I'm just really excited to have you to share your opinions, your processes, and what you've been working on lately with the community. Damien, thank you so much for being here. How are you today, my friend?
I'm doing good. I'm gonna have to put you on payroll as my hype man. I mean, that was quite an intro. Thank you. But
Oh, well, hey man. I don't say stuff unless I mean it. So I'm just really stoked to have you here with us. So
yeah, I'm
I want to
excited.
make sure that everybody knows this is going to be a interactive session. So we've got chat functionality in Zoom, in YouTube. So drop as we go through, drop any questions that you might have for me or for Damien. But we're gonna walk through a few different things. Damien, will you tell the audience just a little bit about yourself? And I've done the hype. Tell them about the actual, like, a little bio, just like get a little bit of context around your business, your bio, how you are where you are these days.
Yeah, I'd love to. So my team and I are headquartered in Greenville, South Carolina, in the upstate of South Carolina, and we've kind of grown into covering several neighboring markets like Highlands, Cashiers, North Carolina. We're in Tryon, which is an equestrian market about 45 minutes from us. Lake Kiwi, which is again about 45 minutes from us, and quite ironically, like or wildly enough, homes are now selling on that lake for like 10 to 12 million dollars, and it's just become this huge kind of hidden gem of kind of luxury real estate. So we have a few of those kind of different areas popping up, and I'm kind of I'm glad we were able to take advantage of that in proximity and being within an hour of that different market too. And then we're also in Hilton Head as well down at the coast, and hopefully expanding into Charleston soon. Been in the business since licensed since college around 2007. Started working for one of the top producers in Charleston, South Carolina, where I'm from, and eventually evolved into kind of the luxury sector around 2015. I kind of refocused and created the Damian Hall Group and relocated to where we are, home base in Greenville, and just hyper focused on the luxury sector. I was always interested in that market. The marketing aspect is kind of my creative outlet, so I always enjoyed having a really neat, cool home to work with, or a beautiful lake house, or horse farm or something like that. So that kind of just drove my interest, more and more into that kind of niche of luxury real estate. And now we are, like I said, multiple markets across the Carolinas. We have a team of 8. I have a director of operations who kind of keeps the trains on the tracks and handles our listing coordination and closing coordination. And then we have a director of sales that helps the team along the way, and helps me. That's my right hand man, kind of keeping things moving.
I mean, like just that by itself, there's so many with different locations, with eight team members are the eight team members spread out across those different markets, or I'm like I guess just geographically, are you like centralized and then folks are going out, or do you have folks that are kind of like market specialists? They live in Tryon or Lake Kiwi. Is it how
Yeah,
does
yeah,
that
it's good.
work? Is it
Good question. So there's eight of us total, and we are in. So we have three of us, or four of us that are kind of based in Greenville, our hub, and then they can kind of go out to service these other markets 45 minutes out. And then we do have agents that kind of specialize in like the lake lifestyle or the equestrian lifestyle, and they'll kind of lean more on that market. And then we have
yeah.
two agents based in Hilton Head that are, yeah, it's about 4 hours from us in Greenville. So they pretty much specialize in just that Hilton Head and kind of coastal region. But and it's cool because we're seeing a lot of people land in the Carolinas and then maybe decide like, oh, coastal living isn't for us, so let's check out the mountains, or vice versa. So we're actually, our team's facilitating a lot of deals between each other for people that are kind of cross-locating across the Carolinas, whether North or South Carolina, into that different lifestyle. So that's been kind of an interesting thing to watch
Yeah.
evolve, that kind of accidentally happened between where our kind of expansion markets are.
I love that. I'm curious, do y'all use, are you on Slack to communicate between, like, do you like, as far as being a remote hybrid setup where obviously coordination and communication is so important across,
Yeah,
you mentioned like director of operations kind of keeping things running. Is it like switchboard operator style, or is everybody communicating with each other in
that is a great
Slack, or
question, and
how do you handle that?
that is something we were trying to figure out how to handle. We've
Okay.
yeah, we've tried Slack. We've all been on group text message. Obviously emails. So kind of our with the kind of executive management team, we're trying to make 2025 the year of our systems and organization. So we've done a lot with Asana now to get our kind of listing process into that project manager. And then communications is one of the things we're really trying to figure out in the next month or so, is how to get everybody, one central thing, because the texts coming to me every day are just insane. So we're trying to figure that communication out, and that's been a tough one.
Yeah. And like I said, I want this to be interactive. So anybody that's in the chat, if you've got a team and you've figured out some version
Please.
of remote communication, asynchronous communication, this is obviously we've got Damian on as our guest this week. But if you've got insights or struggles, drop them in the chat as well. I'd love to hear about the way that you've approached. Obviously, we deal with different personality types, with folks of different ages, comfort with technology, different things like that. So I'm always curious to see how do leaders, how do team leads or brokers, how does a small business owner try to coordinate and let everybody feel like, oh, this system makes sense to me, but also obviously there's some hurdles to clear there as well.
And
So,
I'm
all
in
right,
a few master. Sorry, I'm in a couple of
no,
mastermind
go
groups,
ahead, go
so
ahead.
I've kind of posed that question around too, and it seems like Slack is a good one, kind of tried and true, that a lot of the team leaders like to kind of direct all that communication to. And I think that helps. You can have
Yeah,
different channels based on whatever is it, you need help with the listing? Do you need help, technical or whatever?
exactly. Yeah, between like a Slack or a Discord, that sort of like dedicated messaging app that has like custom channel functionality. I'm imagining with different markets and different offices, that probably ends up being the best. I mean, so speaking
Yeah.
from Curaytor side, we've been around for 12, 13 years now almost. And we started out fully remote. We had two physical office spaces that had about a third of our employees each in them, while another third of us were fully remote. Then the pandemic happened. We went back to being fully remote. And so I think we've been on Slack since like 2017, 16,
Well,
17. So uh, I think it's definitely one that I would endorse as a means to do that. So yeah, so if anybody in the chat is utilizing anything like that, I'm curious, like what channels are you creating in your Slack or in your inter-office communications? We've got stuff like break room in addition to like, yeah, we've got our customer success team, and we've got our marketing and services teams, but we also, the Curaytor Dogs channel. People like to share their pets and things like that too. So there's a nice aspect of that office thing, the like online office that I know can be a little bit of a struggle.
That
So,
helps
all
with
right.
culture too. So that's, I like that aspect, especially with the dogs and things, like what fun events are going on like in your life right now.
Exactly, exactly. And then that even gets to, especially like when let's talk about real estate content creation now. It's like if it's something that you would share in a group chat, if it's something that you would share within the office, like, oh, that might be something that you'd want to put out online, right? And so you might get inspired by something that somebody sends you, or that it's like, oh, like it's a let's say it's an interesting listing. Let's not say that it's necessarily the messiest
Right.
listing possible, but it could be any unique thing. You're dealing with equestrian properties. I don't know, maybe there's a behind the scenes. How many times have you stepped in a big
Right.
pile of horse dung, for
Oh
instance?
yeah.
Is that
We try
so
to
you might
capture
find
those
different
behind the
ways.
scenes. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
all
And
gold
that's
content.
like, I love the way that you approach content and get like you have like it feels like a clear aesthetic and perspective, but and though it's luxury, you come across
Yeah.
very approachably. Like you have and consistently as well. So I want to turn that into that's kind of what I want to talk about now is your approach to content creation, video content, and your authenticity throughout it. Um, when when did you start investing in video marketing specifically?
That is a great and funny question at the same time. My director of operations actually sent me one of the first videos that we shot back in 2017 or 18, I think it was. I did this whole series, just to back up one step. I knew that I wanted to I knew we needed to be doing more video and we needed to put out, start on create a YouTube channel and kind of cultivate that as well. So I put out a post on our young professionals Facebook group, on Facebook, and found a great, brilliant videographer that has become a great friend, and we've kind of both evolved ever since 2018. And so one of the first things that we talked about over lunch, I said, you know what, I want to create a like behind the scenes like reality show, like $1 million listing. So you basically just follow me around on my day-to-day, shenanigans behind the scenes in real estate. And then we're gonna make that a series. So we did that, and I mean, I watched an episode yesterday. And I'm like, oh my God, like that is so cringe. But it was, I mean, it was content that people like enjoyed seeing. It was like the real me. It wasn't like, um, staged or going on camera, polished me. We're keeping it real in the car on the way to a listing shoot. We get there, there's no power at the house. Like, what's going on? Like, and then we're, after hours having drinks with a lender or something like that. So it's just kind of trying to put that real touch of, get to know us. So I've kind of taken that and evolved it into, we do a lot of that on stories now. So a lot of like my Instagram and Facebook stories, you'll see like that's behind the scenes. So that's us. I'm at a listing shoot this afternoon. You're gonna see like Alex, my videographer now, is going to town, like the amazing views, like sneak peeks of that. And then you might see me like home with the dog, walking the dog. And then a lot of people know me for my restaurant posts. So wherever we're eating tonight, I'm like snapping a picture, and it's usually, somewhere. Well, there's a lot of great spots in downtown Greenville where we are. So a lot of people follow just for that, just to guess where he's eating or what, get some ideas. So that's kind of been an organic, accidental kind of interest piece that a lot of people enjoy seeing. So I think that helps to that authenticity. And, I always tell my team in order for people to want to do business with you, they need to know, like, and trust you. And it's hard for them to do that if, everything on your feed and your social media is completely polished and there's not, that real you in some form of, fashion. So I try to be funny too. So like you said, stories walking through a, pasture and stepping in manure or something like that. Like we'll absolutely play off that and try to make, things light and fun at the same time. And then you're also going to see our polished, beautiful, sexy listing videos. So they know, okay, you're a riot and a good time, but you also know what you're doing and, put out beautiful content and material. So that's kind of been the kind of evolution there.
And let's just to speak to that. I mean, like again, the polish and the personality both showing up, the real and the glossy,
Yeah.
all happening at the same time. I always like to check out oldest, right? Go through
Oh
the
yeah, yeah.
check out
Oh
the
my
first.
God.
Um, but so like,
Oh
even
yeah.
like right away, the first like I'm seeing crane shots and drone shots right away. So you're investing in, were you getting B-roll, or were you paying
So
for B-roll,
that's
or was
for
this already when you're working with your videographer?
yeah. So that was all just drone stuff from videographer shooting the property. So that wasn't kind of that was I mean that was content being a listing video, but it wasn't you know it wasn't any other kind of content other than just shooting that listing. So we mix in kind of a
Yeah.
mixture of like I have a YouTube vlog video now, and that's a lot of the behind the scenes stuff, content that's funny. Like we had a GoPro with me on a golf cart riding around this island resort that we were selling, getting attacked by all kinds of wildlife, and then almost flipping the golf cart into
Oh,
a
that sounds
pond
like
with
fun.
alligators. So I mean that's like the YouTube vlog, and then we'd have like the more polished, like I have the DHG tours videos where we go tour, higher end listings that my colleagues have either in Charlotte or Asheville or Atlanta or somewhere, or even my listings. And it's kind of just walking through with that agent and just talking about the listing. So they get to know, people get to know you and your personality, and you get to kind of interact with that other agent's personality, and it's just kind of fun. And then we have our polished, like
Yeah.
cinematic listing property videos. So, we'll even have lifestyle B-roll in there with, a Rolls Royce pulling down the driveway, somebody on horseback in the pasture, if it's a lake house, we're on a boat, I've hired a captain to drive a wakeboarding boat and pull a wakeboarder behind as we're getting the drone shot of the lake house here and the boat pulling the wakeboarder, and then somebody else on the boathouse getting that boat coming closer. So really just kind of capturing everything from kind of that fun storytelling behind the scenes to that narrated, get to know us a little bit in a beautiful house, and then also the polished, listing videos.
I think it's right. I'm seeing folks are chatting about the variety in the videos, the content, the contrast between showing the sweat and then the polish on the higher end listing videos. That
Yeah.
it creates,
And
like you said, like it creates an authentic lens into what you're doing.
and
I'm
that
not, man. I'm
that
noticing like
lighthouse.
I love the news jacking concept, or the like, hey, this is a notable
Right.
sale, or this is leveraging that. Man, I'm seeing like 15,000 views on some of these. I'm like, obviously, yeah, like some listing videos are going to get, you're going to be
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
dozens and the hundreds. Sometimes you're going to be in the thousands. I'm curious, do you, I'm assuming there's some, like, you're throwing ad budget behind some of these to get more like brand stuff out, in
Yeah,
general. Do you
yeah.
have any tips any tips that you'd offer on, optimizing what type of content you're pushing out YouTube wise?
Yeah, so right now I'm really loving the pre-ad roll ads on YouTube. So like we'll get a specific property, and then I'll put 500 behind it to kind of launch it out there in different feeder markets. So if we have one listing that just
Yeah.
hit the market in country club golf course style neighborhood. And so we'll take that beautiful video, and then I'll target, people who are interested in golf and mountains and nature, and then, some of our feeder markets like Chicago, Florida, and the Northeast, and kind of target that area. And then also for like our content branding videos, I'll kind of just do a splash too with a couple $100 a month, for 6 months, just kind of let it out there lingering. But I'm trying to even double down on that more this year because YouTube is such a beast. I've been on panels where the other agents have said, I walk into the living room, and the client's kids go, "We see you on our TV all the time. Like you're always on our, our parents are watching your YouTube videos in whatever house you're in." And I think that's the goal. And then also I was showing my cousin and her husband properties a few months ago. They were relocating to Greenville from Louisville after dental school. And she told me, she said, "Well, if we didn't use you, we would either use, this agent or that agent." And I said, "Really?" And I knew why, because I knew they were the most prevalent on YouTube. And she said, "Yeah, oh yeah, for sure." Because we watched all their videos. And I mean, if you think about it, it's the same for me. Like when we're going to Miami or we're going to a new city, like I'm not looking at the hotel's website for their branded promo video. Like, I want to see the vlogger go through the hotel and like show me the pool, the beach, what's the rooftop like, what's the vibe like. Same for a restaurant that we're gonna go to. If we're in Miami, like, okay, what's the vibe like? I guess the vibe check. Like, you want the
The vibe
the
check,
real scoop.
the online vibe check.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so that's what I'm really gonna I'm hyper focused on that for this year, and really, really creating and expanding our YouTube content creation so that we are, and especially now with like we have this DJI like stick camera Osmo. It's like $500 on Amazon.
Oh yeah.
And it's this little 4K camera on a stabilizer. I like last year we went to the Christie's conference in Beverly Hills, and we were touring like 50 and $85 million homes. And I just took it around like I'm the videographer, and then I handed that memory card back to our videographer when I got home, and he put together like 4 or 5 like really cool reels from it that were great content. So I feel like the long story short, the barrier to entry on creating content has gotten so much easier with the technology and the cameras at your disposal. You really don't need, to go hire an expensive videographer if you're just getting started.
That's a great tip. When we say it was the is the Osmo? What's the name of the?
I think it's DJI Osmo. It's
That's right.
it's a handheld, about what, that big. Camera's about that big, and it's on a stabilizer, and you can hold it, and
Yeah.
shoot selfie style, and it'll follow your face, or you can, shoot whatever you're wanting to make a video of. Pretty cool little gadget.
Yeah. Dude, I'm seeing in the chat right now Bobby Carroll saying talking about like the
Yeah,
listing videos in general, partnering with referral agents to tag along tour their listings is genius. And so
yeah.
I was watching one of your I guess I'm living proof. I was watching some of your videos the other day too, and I was like, Damian's popping in and he's meeting someone in a penthouse, and
Yeah.
she's the listing agent, but it was like very like just a really great tour.
When
That I think
Yeah, and the cool thing about that is not only are you creating content for yourself, you're going to share it with the other agent. The other agent's going to share it with her audience. So you just did what Sharon Srivatsa, if you follow him, says is audience hijacking. So you basically just doubled your audience by, you know, getting exposure up to on their channels. So now, like if I'm in Charlotte showcasing this beautiful listing with my good friend Liza, then all of her, audience is going to see that. And anybody moving to Greenville 2 hours away, they're like, I know that guy Damian and Liza are friends. Like, what we need to, hit up Damian when we're looking for houses in Greenville. And then it's twofold. So then you're also getting, because I'm in Charlotte or wherever, looking at all of these luxury homes, they're not just mine. I'm not just going, hey, check out this home for sale. It's beautiful. And then people would start to get bored, think, oh yeah, it's your listing. Of course you think it's beautiful. But then I'm getting the recognition and anybody thinks luxury real estate now in Charlotte, Savannah, Charleston, Greenville, wherever, they've seen me there filming with the top agents, filming some beautiful content. So, I mean, that's been an awesome way to kind of grow your
it's
audience,
almost
grow your reach.
like you don't have to wait for HGTV to come to you
Exactly.
and tell you, hey, you've got a TV deal with us. Like you can be your own HGTV. You can create your that's where we are technologically. That's where we are. If you leverage your network,
Mhm.
if you and it's documenting work that you'd already be doing, right? I think that's one of the my brain goes to I'm imagining someone in the audience thinking like, yeah, but like how do you even get the listing to begin with? Or how do you even it's like it's all part of your regular function. I'm imagining that the next time you're having a conversation with a prospective seller, it goes a lot easier when when they're saying, well, yeah, my kids see you on YouTube. It goes a lot easier when they've seen so I guess speak a little bit to the way how is your marketing fueling your next listing acquisition? How is your marketing fueling your marketing moving forward?
Yeah, so that's a good question. I mean, the whole thing becomes just like great momentum and just this beast of momentum. So we're, and a lot of that too, we'll use our like a new listing to generate new listings. So I always, I say, and you guys teach this, it's, market your marketing and leverage your listings. So we'll send out, say we did that beautiful cinematic video tour of that new listing. We're gonna
Mhm.
e-blast that also to our database. That's going on our YouTube channels. That's going on our social channels. That's going to get ad spend behind it on YouTube. So we kind of grow out, that hub and spoke model where that video piece is the content. And then we're spoking out to our email list, to our Facebook, to our Instagram, to LinkedIn, wherever we can find YouTube, and then put some ad spend behind that. That's kind of a good way to get compounding exposure and audience there. And
Yeah.
then, the same time, it's just hammering social too. So it's like trying to drive traffic to your Instagram account, to your Facebook account, to your YouTube, so that you can get more top of the funnel that end up seeing that time on brand and their time on your videos. And then they become, people that want to do business with you, and then they reach out to you. So that's a lot of my goal is to just, how can we get more people? Because once they know us and get acquainted with our kind of ecosystem, which is either email list or social channels, then 9 times out of 10, they want to do business with us. So how do we go top of
Yeah.
funnel and get more people to find out about us? That's been kind of what my goal has been.
Do you I'm with because you're on all the social platforms. Do you have one that you find performs especially well for you? Is there one that lags for you? I'm always like, I think folks like views and likes and engagement can be kind of like, it can either be an ego trip or it can be an ego bruise, right? And
For
so
sure.
one of the things that I see consistently across our clients who are just tremendously successful is just a drive that says like, I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to get through. I'm going to get over the hump. And I'm not
Yeah.
going to worry that if I post a few that I don't get a ton of views, that the consistency ends up having a lot to do with it. I'm curious, do you have platforms where you see more or less success?
Yeah. And that's a great question, because I know a lot of people have that thought, or they get discouraged. Somebody told me something recently, or I overheard it, and I thought that was absolutely brilliant. He said, even if you get 500 views on whatever you've just posted, imagine how hard it would be to find a room full of 500 people to get in front of at any given time with their undivided attention. If you've had 200 to 500 views, that's still, a great reach and great exposure compared to, 20 years back or whatever, when you're having to put an ad on a bus stop and see, hope people are going to see it passing by, and,
Right.
um, but forgot where I was going with this. What's the what it
Well,
what did
so,
you ask
so
me?
yeah, we're talking about like different platforms and
Oh,
but
yeah,
yeah, I
yeah,
think overall
sorry.
that mentality, I think that's a really great anecdote. Yeah.
So yeah, I find Instagram is like kind of our um really like ready to buy like leads. If they're DMing me, like they're bottom of funnel, really interested, really
Uh-huh.
engaged. Um, One thing that we're doing better than we ever have before, and again with Curaytor's coaching, is that creating conversations and trying to go one-on-one with people instead of just like a big shotgun blast to everybody. So it's posting content that, is meant to drive that one-on-one conversation. And we've been, really utilizing some of the tools that you guys have given us to do that, via email and on social. So I found Instagram's been a great kind of resource for that. And then uh, the Facebook. So Facebook is kind of like our silent, you never know who's lurking out there, but there's people,
Yeah.
it's insane the amount of people that are paying attention on Facebook that don't engage with the post. So again, you might think, oh, I have 10 likes or 20 likes, or I had 100 views or something like that. But the amount of people that actually like scroll through and watch it or read your content or whatever and don't engage with it, I mean, that's probably 4 times what the actual likes or engagement are. So I've been
Right.
discouraged before, and I'm like, oh, okay, you got 5 likes, but then I start to, when I'm out in the field and people will go, oh, what happened with that, castle listing that you had? Did that sell? Or what happened to that island resort that you had? And these are all people I didn't even know followed me on Instagram or Facebook or anything. But those are kind of like the silent, lurkers out there that they're all watching and paying attention. They're just not necessarily engaging with your content.
That's a great thing to remind yourself of, because yeah, you sometimes, like, it can feel like screaming into the void. It can feel
Mm.
like you're posting, it's like, oh, I sure hope somebody checks it out. Mauricio just asked in the chat, and I think this is a great question, because you just mentioned, like, the bottom of funnel leads, folks are DMing you on Instagram. Are you seeing that coming? Like, are there specific posts that they're DMing you about? Or is it more of a, like, is there specific content, what kind of posts? Or is it like, it's like a story with a type of engagement? Is it about listing specifically? Is it about local events? Like you mentioned, restaurants you post a lot about. Do you see it kind of just being like, oh, you were top of mind because I saw something that you did and it could have been from anything? Or are there types of posts that you notice end up
Yeah, it's a good question,
creating more of
Mauricio.
those conversations?
For us, I've noticed it's more of a slow burn. So they would have had to have been watching for a little while. So they're watching our stories, they're seeing the type of properties that we represent. They're seeing us out to dinner or walking the dog. So they're getting to know me, they're getting to like me a little bit, and through my personal life. And then they're getting to trust me via, seeing me working so hard behind the scenes, seeing what we're producing, the materials, the type of properties that we are putting out. So if somebody's looking like to relocate from Chicago or something like that, and they come across, my Instagram, or via a blog or something that we have out there, they're not reaching out immediately. There's not one post that's going to trigger them. It's like you have to kind of, they start to follow you, they start to spend time on brand, and then when they're ready, they're like, oh, we were looking for a house just like this. By the way, we're moving from Chicago, and like probably later this spring, and yada yada. Then you're doing the one-on-one, in the inbox, like, oh, really? Have you looked at this neighborhood and that neighborhood? I can send you some information, and that's kind of thing. So I think long answer is it's just kind of every your all-encompassing strategy of what you're posting, getting people to know, like, and trust you, and then they're in your DMs.
I love and Bobby echoes this. He says time on brand is the key metric to strive for. We're in an attention economy, right? So
Amen.
like you even like talking about the content itself and where you go as being like the spokes. It's you're playing on so many different content types, and like
Yeah.
recognizing that everybody's got niche interests, everybody's got different things. So I think it's that commitment to your quality that goes across. Bobby's getting ahead of me, and it's happening fast. He says, the $1 million question: how are you leveraging AI? You set me up really well, Damian. I know you. We're going to look at your site for just a second here,
Yeah. Yeah.
where I just want to show everybody. I think you did such a great job, and I think that the video might be tapping out on mine right now just because I've got so many things running. But you've got such a cool video here in the featured image, in the hero object. But then I love the way that you articulate who you're for. Um, Beautiful photography. I think you're one of the first times I've
That.
seen one of our sites with a podcast embedded on the homepage.
So I'll tell
Talk
you
to me a
about
little bit
that.
about the overall design. Yeah.
Yeah. So that podcast, like, I went to Notebook LM, which is Google's AI tool, and I uploaded my listing presentation. And Notebook LM did a 6-minute podcast with two virtual people that sound real as, like, totally real life, having a conversation about how great we are and how we market our properties. I think just mind blowing. And I just took that, downloaded it, and uploaded it to SoundCloud like it was somebody doing a podcast about Damian Hall Group. I mean, it took like 5 minutes uploading a PDF into Notebook LM. It does a
Yeah.
podcast style interview between two people talking about whatever that content is that you uploaded. And then you can take that piece and do like I did and upload it as a PDF, or I'm sorry, as a podcast.
It's man, there's some really cool stuff going on. So that aspect of technology is super cool. I'm excited. We're gonna teeing up a future session. I'm gonna have Amit Buddha on with us in the not too distant future. I'm still locking down the dates, but he's got some really great YouTube strategies and some great content creation strategies as well that I know everybody's gonna really enjoy. Damon, you mentioned. I mean, there's a lot to learn from in your site design, and here's we had I had you introduce yourself a little bit earlier, and I think you were pretty modest if I'm being honest. So I'm just gonna leave this on the screen for just a second so that everybody can see.
Yeah,
We don't have to brag on you too hard. We're just gonna say like pretty impressive resume, pretty impressive CV and body of work overall, my friend.
I appreciate that. And that, and
Yeah.
I love, this is a testament to like our clients are always impressed with our website. That's something they always mention in every listing presentation. And that's something that's always been important to me. And it blows my mind when I look up an agent and, I'm seeing like some template of, some template website from their office, it's a one pager with your contact information. Because when your like past client gives your name to like Susie next door, the first thing Susie's going to do is go Google you. And if you don't have a presence online with a website and, a great Google business profile, you're already at a disadvantage, especially if you're competing and, a seller is looking up you and somebody else and you have the beautiful website and the other agent has a lackluster average site. That's been a huge driver for us. And I mean, this is your identity now. It's, in 2025, this is where people want to look into what you do, how you operate, what your process is. Like, I always tell our clients I could tell you how we operate, or I could show you, how we market and sell your homes. Like, go on our website, we have actual case studies. You can see the level of photography, you can see the cinematic videography that we do. We've laid everything out so that there's actual examples you can click on and see your house in the Wall Street Journal and, Jet Set Magazine or wherever. And this website has just enabled us to do that, so beautifully, visually, which I really love.
And it's a partnership, right?
Oh, for
It's like
sure.
we've built a great platform. I love the work that our tech team has invested to make really great websites and make the platform itself easy to use, make it visually engaging. But it's the commitment to quality photography and videography, and this is kind of a perfect encapsulation of all of the things that we've been talking about. I feel like this why Chicagoans are flocking to Greenville. One of the last times you and I talked, you told me about a literal eureka in the bathtub kind of moment.
Yeah, that
So
was great.
now, so to answer Bobby's question, we'll talk a little bit about AI, but we'll also talk about the humanity that fuels the human inspiration and the data that backs it up, and then also the way that AI can help make this sort of thing easier and really highly effective. Tell me about this piece.
So that was fun. Yeah. So I like, my partner picks on me. He says, my hobby is also real estate. I'm guilty of that. So that was literally, I was in the bathtub, I was thinking about something on my iPad, trying to, looking up whatever. And it was about blogs and why blogs are so important to SEO and whatnot. And I'm like, okay, I need a blog. I haven't written a fresh, blog article in a while. So I'm like, what can I write about? And I thought, there, there's so much buzz in Chicago right now with people there that are talking about moving to the Carolinas and moving to, the upstate Greenville in particular. I was like, I haven't seen anything out there about why you like people from Chicagoans should move to Greenville and like say I'm considering a move myself. Like what? There's not a good resource. So I just picked up my phone and went into ChatGPT and I said write a blog article about why Chicagoans should move to Greenville, South Carolina, and boom, like this beautiful blog article right there. I just copied it to my notepad, and later that afternoon, 5 minutes, click, click, click. I did a graphic in Canva for it, which was that top graphic that you saw the header.
Yeah,
And so, I mean, literally
I
like
love it.
5 minutes, I had this SEO, and I told ChatGPT to give me an SEO, friendly blog on why people are flocking to Greenville from Chicago. And it literally did the hard work for me. I spent 5 minutes, taking Curaytor's template and plugging it in, and here it is live.
So that's the thing you have to ask yourself anytime you're reading content on the internet now, folks. Was this written in a bathtub? And it's pretty cool that the answer might be yes.
Nice.
Like, do we know that Ernest Hemingway wasn't writing in the
We
bathtub? I
don't.
don't know that. I wasn't. I don't. I bet he was. If we're being honest, I
Right.
feel like he probably was. So I love this. We've got some folks in the chat. Eric Marcus said he's here in Chicago on pins and needles. I think we're starting a
Come on.
starting a turf war. And Susan in the chat says she just moved to Greenville and Simpsonville from New York State, has already met people from Chicago, from Buffalo,
See?
from Long Island. So there it is. It's
I mean,
maybe that's the
it's
next one
hard to
is
beat
why
this area. Come on,
yeah.
Eric's next. I
Oh,
see Eric contacting me later.
you the last time you and I chat offline, you mentioned it's not like there are folks that are moving from the Northeast and from Chicago area too, but it's not always that South Carolina is their first stop.
Right.
It's
Yep.
we've got
Well, go ahead. Sorry.
no, go ahead. Yeah, so it sounds like a lot like so I'm from Central Florida originally, and so we were very accustomed. I was very accustomed as a kid to the snowbirds. We'd have folks that would come down. Even like literally my grandpa lived in Chicago, and he would just drive his huge RV all the way down early in the winter. And I think huge wheel. And then, he'd stop off at like VFWs and dance halls. He was a polka dancer.
Oh
Uh,
man.
and a real charmer, I gotta say. Big Ed Lazuka was a real charmer. But so yeah, he would drive his RV all the way down to Florida, and then he'd spend a few months with us, parked in the driveway. But so I knew about a lot about snowbirds. But it sounds like there's a hot new term, there's a hot new
Yeah.
concept. It's not just the folks that are going all the way down to Florida. It sounds like you end up seeing some folks make an almost like a half migration.
Yes. So they call it the halfbacks now. So it's the people that landed in Florida and for whatever reason, via, hurricanes, cost of insurance, traffic, whatever, are all coming, and landing in the Carolinas, which North and South Carolina have been the most inbound, the second, number two and number three most inbound moves of all the states for like the last 5 years in a row. So it's, and a lot of that's coming from the Florida. Like it's a whole, plus if you've been there, done that for 5 years or so, into retirement, some people want to, a change of scenery and come back to the, for kind of mild seasons and kind of lower taxes and quality of life and better quality of life.
Yeah. So, and that's the sort of thing that like I know people have those conversations all the time. Like it's about human psychology and human patterns, like behaviors. But then to see that you turned it into a piece of content that was again
Yeah.
both human inspired, based on data and conversation, both anecdotal and statistical data that you were looking at, but then also tapping into AI to create it quickly, not interrupting your bath schedule, while
Right.
like and even like using Canva to create. Like I love the even like the featured image. It makes you look like you're on like the local
Yeah.
like I'm seeing like weatherman
Yeah.
vibes
Yeah.
too. So it all comes together to create a compelling piece of content that is clearly engaging with a conversation that is already on people's minds. So
Exactly. And you could take
I
that.
just love that one.
And you can take that. I mean, that's any idea that you can think of, like why, why do homes fall out of escrow, or, top 5 things that, buyers, sellers need to do before they put their home on the market. Like any topic like that. I mean, you can throw into chat now, like it'll give you, tell it, write a video script for me, write a blog for me, write an email for me. The capabilities are just endless there. I had to do one of the big things in our market. We have a lot of people that are downsizing. So they're going from that, 6 to 7, 8,000 square foot home, and they're wanting more of,
Yep.
2,500 to 3,000. So I had chat write this whole email sequence for me about downsizing. So we have like 7 emails now for people that are considering downsizing, with like, what's the first step? What's the next step? Like, what are some things I should consider, from helping them figure out how to downsize from a 8,000 square foot house, like pack up and get rid of things and send things to consignment, or, all of that. So, and then I took it a step further, and I'm like, well, how are people going to get on my email list to send them these emails? And so I had Chat write a white paper for me, and I'm like, talk about, you know, I'm 65 years old and I wanted to downsize from 7,000 square feet home to say 2,500 square feet condo in the city where I can walk to restaurants and travel and not have to worry about my maintenance, blah, yada, yada, yada. Next thing you know, I mean, I did a little fine tuning and I had a 25-page white paper on, downsizing. So with that, we now have a lead magnet to put out there, on a landing page that we can drive ad traffic to. I have a couple of email databases from various larger neighborhoods with people that are aging out that we could start putting that, neighborhood farm on a drip for that email, and it resonates with people. And then there was a postcard I saw template out there too that was downsizing, and it was, it had a like a floor plan sketch on the front of it, and it said, if you're not using half these rooms anymore or something like that, then, let's talk about downsizing. So like that whole campaign was, derived in an hour. We had like email pieces, we had the white paper, we had a plan, we've got a direct mail piece.
Mailer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
That's
crazy.
so I know it's crazy how quick that sort of thing can come together if you've got the right inspiration, if you've got and also if you've got the processes internally, if you've got the both for creation but also for being able to walk the walk and not just talk the talk too. So it's about the comprehension of it, but I love I love the way that you jump on a concept and add it to the rest of a pretty well-oiled machine that you've got going. Now, so we got about 12 minutes before the hour. Um, we've touched on some AI stuff, but I know that you've got some new and exciting tools that you wanted to share as well that I want to make sure that everybody in our audience gets to check out today. So, if you, I'm giving you the wheels, my
All
friend.
right. I feel the power. Let me see. There. So this is basically what I've kind of figured out and tapped it, started playing around with, are this new AI agent. Let's see. So I'm making my screen up here.
You got that in the there we go.
Coming up.
All right. Perfect. I can see that myself. If anybody in the chat can't, drop me a message. Otherwise, I think we're looking good. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right. So,
All right.
everybody knows ChatGPT and, AI, Claude, Perplexity, any number of these like amazing AI tools and LLMs.
Yeah.
The what those do beautifully is they can search the entire internet and, databases of books and knowledge bases from, anywhere and everywhere. But what it can't do for you is actually like complete tasks. So it's basically it's a great research tool. It's going to pull from what's out there in the universe and give you an answer or create your, downsizing emails or whatever. With the evolution that's coming in AI, that brings us AI agents. And what AI agents can do is actually complete tasks for a larger task. So essentially, an AI agent could go, it has its own browser in its brain. It can go on an airline reservation website, check dates, check prices on an airline. It can log in and compare it to, another site. So different things you can do to stack processes on top of each other to get you a result that you couldn't get from like a ChatGPT. So I started playing around with this and it's been like mind blowing. So now, like I put in, and this is the website is Manus, MANUS.IM. And this is an AI agent. So this just opened out of beta to the public like 2 weeks ago. So I basically told it I had a new listing, 8 Raven in Cliffs at Glassy It's coming on the market. I need compelling property description that elicits emotion and utilizes storytelling to make the buyer feel the lifestyle around the neighborhood, the views, mountain living, features for a feature sheet, copy for a brochure, viral headline for YouTube video, and an SEO optimized YouTube description driving traffic to luxury real estate keywords to my website. I also need anything else relevant for the listing home on the market that I don't know I need. And then I uploaded a PDF of the amenities. Let's see what those are. So here was an old write-up that I found. And then here were the improvements that the seller sent that she had done on the home since she had owned it, or since she bought it. And then watch this, and it just went to work. So here's what it did. So it's basically thinking, and you can see it working in this right-hand screen. It's going to other websites, it's researching, it is like doing God only knows what, pulling all this data and information that it's going to use to complete everything that I need for that listing to get it marketed in half the time that I would have typically taken. So let's see. So
it's reminding me of math class in middle school. It's showing your work,
numbers and all of that. So we now have a property description, beautifully written. Of course, I went in there and fine-tuned it. We have a feature sheet. Boom. Copy that, paste it into our branded feature sheet. Fine-tune it, double check to make sure everything's correct. That's done. YouTube content. So it wrote the, an SEO friendly viral headline for me. Here's the YouTube description, hashtags, write a feature sheet. We talked about that. Brochure copy. So I wanted it to break down the description into paragraphs for me with each one, a headline. So we could copy and paste into our Curaytor featured website and into our brochure. So here's what it looked like. So, in very quickly now I take that content, drop it into our property website. And like, there's where I needed each paragraph breakdown. Don't even have to think about it. It's done that for me. Pop those in each one. And then, the property description right there. Boom, boom, boom. And then I went over to Canva. And right now we're training a VA to do this. So like my next step is to I'm putting it all into Manus, and then I'm going to have everything that I just showed you screen double checked. And then we're going to upload that to a Google Doc that then gets sent to the VA.
Yeah.
The VA just pops all that data into our featured website, into our brochure, and creates the email blast for us. But you can see again, like I just needed to pop in paragraph. It's all ready to go. It's baked it into the format I need it. Let's see. So that was pretty and now I've used it for 2 listings now. And I mean, it's just been absolutely mind blowing. Just how quickly and how good it is. And how quickly you can get your marketing done.
Yeah, that's an awesome tool. So that's Manus, MANUS.IM.
And then
that looks like
we're 2 other cool tricks up our sleeve with this one that I've kind of utilized and figured out. So the second one, over the weekend, I needed to do a CMA for a client's house. So I said, what if I throw this into Manus and see what it comes up with? So I told it, you're a master appraiser. I need to evaluate the value of the address. It's been totally updated. Give it a little information about the house, square footage, any other details you have. And then I just uploaded a PDF of the tax page. And then, so, let's see. And then here we go. This is my favorite part. And then it just goes to town doing research again, looking for comps. It's on Zillow, Realtor.com. It's in the tax records. I think it would be amazing if we found a way, probably in the future, to connect this to IDX or to MLS. I mean, that would be a total game changer. So right now it's searching, the portals. So then, it got stuck because it is AI. Zillow threw it it got caught on Zillow, and Zillow caught that it wasn't a human. So shut it down. I said, what do you want me to do? And I said, well, try realtor.com. So then it carried on researching on realtor.com with no issue. And then I looked at kind of the comps myself, and I said, well, this one seems to have, seems to be a comp, but it has inferior reviews and like less luxurious updates. So I can literally like feed it data as it's doing its work, and it's going to take that into
Yeah.
consideration. And then let's see. So anyway, it did all of that. I fine-tuned, answered some questions, helped it along a little bit. And then it created this beautiful executive summary with property highlights that I'd given it. All of this great data, exceptional features. And then it went into market context. So then it found the record sale that happened a few days ago or a few weeks ago for 9.2 million.
That's huge. That's huge. Yeah,
it's nuts. And then it made
one of the questions we got is, how is this different from ChatGPT? I watched the live stream a couple months ago where I saw ChatGPT, like they were introducing sort of like a co-pilot like this where you could watch it work. What's your, I love seeing the very, very up to date stats here. Have you with Manus, have you like you've been investing in this tool for a little while? How would you describe the difference from ChatGPT? Obviously, it's another LLM, but it's got some slightly more of like an assistant vibe to it. I know ChatGPT is
yeah.
adding features like that.
Yeah, chat will be adding, they're all on the hunt for this AI agent thing. This is kind of like the
Yeah.
2.0 of AI right now. So I think the primary difference is this is able to do a much more in-depth search. I mean, it's going to go into the tax records for the county tax assessor, and actually it can click through that website to find data that it needs, whereas chats cannot access and physically go into like the tax assessor's website and pull data that it needs it
Yeah.
to. I can direct Manus to go specifically to the tax assessor's office, look up any, sales that have happened in the last 6 months for $1 million to $1.5 million in whatever neighborhood. So you get really granular with tasks, whereas
Yeah.
with chat, in this example, chat would just be relying on what's in public records if you Google, that same information. So,
That's
like with this
that's
one,
really interesting.
and this, I took this and put it on our letterhead, tidied it up, double checked, verified the numbers and everything like that. And I mean, I've got a fully comprehensive report about what the market's doing, what the demographics are they're buying, what the comps are, premium features. It put in, numbers on the valuations of, it being on a peninsula lot versus not, superior views. It knew to write in that, short-term rentals a major game changer and driver and investors in lakefront properties. So it added a whole segment on that. And I mean, just, an amazing information in such a short amount of time that, would have taken me a day to compile and, research and do that all myself. And then one other cool example. Good.
Well, so we got a question about that. So it would take you a day to compile all of that yourself. A question from Sam in the chat is, did you do your own CMA to see how accurate Manus was? What I'm seeing is it looks like it's emulating some of your previous processes, but would you have gotten to about the same? Like I don't think you're sending this to somebody unless you agree with the sentiment. But in the first time that you tried this process, did you do like a double check, a sort of a John Henry versus the steam drill sort of man versus machine situation?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a good question, and I did, and it came up with kind of the same, like 3 5s. So that was pretty cool. So I probably would always cross-check that, run a few of my own comps and make sure that, and then this is kind of going to give you all of that context behind it to help with that CMA. But yeah, no, that's a good question. Since it's, I would do independent research and then use a lot of this other context to bake into your report that you're showing the seller.
Exactly. It's a great practice.
And then one more thing that I really loved. This was the first thing I did when I got into this this tool. So, and I think this is going to be the future. I mean, it's just wild. I think the capabilities that are going to come with this. So say I'm moving to a new city and I don't know anything about it, you know, I'm gonna, like, with this tool, I wrote in, essentially, like, I want to buy a property in Greenville, South Carolina, with an area with a low crime rate. I have a child in middle school and a child in kindergarten. I want to consider their education. My wife and I have a total budget of 1.5 million. We like to be as close to downtown as possible. We need at least 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths. Please help me find specific clause documents of suitable properties. It's supposed to be just suitable properties. Compare them and search in a list. Please also help me in finding the best realtor who's familiar with the type of property I'm looking for. So, you know, if you think about it, people moving to an area, they don't know what the neighborhoods are that would match their lifestyle the best. So this is essentially going to do the research for them and find out exactly where I want to be. And it did that, you know, and it did all this research, and again, you know, searching in different websites and different real estate portals. But then it found the results. Final recommendations. So it basically did all of the research for me, and now it's saying, you know, Augusta Road would be a really good fit for me. It's an optimal neighborhood of choice for these reasons: safety, schools, location, community, diverse range of luxury homes within my budget. It's giving me recommendations for school. It's already done the research of the schools for me and broken that down. And then it's giving me 3 properties that it best matched for me.
The property recommendations is the one that jumps out at me. It's like all of those others, like, yeah, sure, like you could find that pretty quickly. Specific properties as a recommendation, that's nuts.
Like, can you imagine, like, again, I think if this was synced with IDX, it would help our real estate application a lot more. But if this was on your website or your phone, and you know, you had an inquiry come in and you just hung up with a client and they just gave you exactly what I just fed into this, like, we're looking to move there, we don't know the area, but we know we want 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, where schools are important, and you just did that. I mean, in 5 minutes you have matched with the, you know, top areas that are going to suit their lifestyle the most, 3 homes that are best suited for the exact criteria that they gave you based on data. And then this was the wild card. So I was telling Steve this. So I said, I know that I'm not going to like the realtor recommendation because it's going to give me a competitor and it's going to piss me off. And then I'm going to have to figure out how in the hell I can get to be the recommended realtor for AI. And it literally, like, recommended me as the top agent in the area, which is mind blowing. And this, again, this was the first search that I had done in this. Like, it didn't know anything about me or that I was even a realtor. Because I was suspect at first. But I think this is like the future. If this is going to be the future way of how people search for homes and cut through all the noise and the clutter, and I've got 30 minutes before I have to go feed the kids to dial in an area and a place where I'm moving and have it research schools for me, so I don't even have to do that. And then I've already have a realtor that best suits based on their reviews and their property and experience that suits. I mean, this did all the, you know, legwork for either the realtor or that client.
And what it puts in my brain here is it's a little bit of a choose your own adventure, right? Where I can see, like, the way that you utilize this was as a consumer at first, right? So that was you saying, like, oh, like, imagine, like, I went to a website or I went to a chat type search and I typed in this information just to kind of give it to that. I can imagine that being on the realtor's website and it being a conversation that you are empowering and enabling a prospective buyer or seller to tell you about their situation. I can also see the agent's use of it. Like you say, like, all right, I've got other things I got to go on. So I will set this thing up for the prospective buyer or seller. So you can see it, like, empowering either side of the service that you're providing.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, I think the future capabilities of this are going to be just completely mind blowing. I mean, it just, like, literally does the legwork and all the research. I'd have to go look at blogs, you know, hours of blogs and YouTube videos to find out, you know, all the different areas around downtown Greenville that might match my lifestyle. And then I have to go, you know, research all the schools, and then I have to go get on Zillow or one of the portals and try and, search through all the homes and that, like, it just did all of that for me in, 5 minutes. Pretty well.
Yeah,
You can tell I nerd out on the AI.
man, I can't. Well, yeah, and I love that, man. I love it so much because I'm seeing immediate use cases. I'm immediate immediate ways to start tapping into it as a technology company, as a service provider. There's so many different ways that you can imagine it being useful in a couple of quarters, in a couple of years.
Mhm.
Crazy things even farther than that. But even there are practical things that an agent can leverage from it right now at this exact moment. So I think it's incredibly helpful to have you on, sharing your insights, sharing the stuff that you're working on, like in a very practical way. I'm very appreciative, man. Thank you so much for joining our stream today.
Yeah, this has been awesome. I always enjoy getting on with you and talking real estate. That's my passion, and I really enjoy the topic and kind of giving back and showing what I'm learning out there in the field.
Absolutely, man. We've got I'm gonna drop this in the chat for everybody on Zoom, on the Zoom feed. If you can go ahead, Wendy, and drop that in YouTube as well. We've got a page on our site all about Damian. If you want to learn more about Damian, you can check that out. We're gonna update that page with clips from this video. Just keep the opportunity to learn from Damian uh going on, moving forward. Like I said before, we're gonna have Amit Buddha joining us in the next several weeks. I've got Mindy Jones is going to be our next guest on one of our Thursday live streams. We're going to talk about building a personal brand that attracts more business to you. Another amazing content creator, another person who's just such a valuable resource in her market, in this case in Gilbert, Arizona. Is just a phenomenal agent and member of our curator community as well. So I'm just and so I'll echo what Sam just said in the chat here. Thanks for sharing. It's an amazing use of AI that we can use right away. So I'm seeing lots of positivity in the YouTube feed as well. So Damian, I feel pretty confident we will be doing another one of these in the not too distant future. We're gonna keep the lessons flowing. So thank you so much, man. Any last words of wisdom before we tap out today?
Yeah, a lot of people, agents that I've been talking to, they're just so, they have a hard time knowing where to even start with AI. And I would say just, play around with it for 30 minutes a week. Just get on, chat or something, and just because things are going to move so quickly over the next course of the year plus with AI. I think those who aren't going to get in now are going to be just so far behind and lost that, I think it's easy to get in early and just play around with, an AI tool for 30 minutes a week, just so you know kind of what some capabilities are and what, tools are even out there. You don't even have to know how to use them yet, but know that that capability is there, I think would help keep you on that kind of learning trajectory as things continue to grow. But feel free to follow me on Instagram or send me a DM with where you are. And, I continue to post stuff on Instagram to help, realtors too. I have a private Instagram group where I drop a lot of my tips and stuff too. So love to add you there.
That's another great tip. So yeah, that link that I just dropped a few seconds ago, we've got Damian, all of his social links are there. Absolutely. Go give him a follow and shoot him a DM with appreciation, and get in that private group as well for more tips like this. My friend, thank you again. We've gone a little bit long, but I think for great reason. It's been super valuable. Thank you so much, Damian. We'll see you sometime soon for sure, and look out for our next stream next week with Mindy. All right, everybody. Thanks. Have a good one.
Thanks, Steve. Thank you, everybody.